Hello everybody, welcome back. This week we're going to be looking at percussion instruments. That is, any instrument where you produce the sound by hitting or tapping. We don't usually hit percussion instruments hard, even if they sound really loud. And even if the motion that you see is really large, quite often the force involved is quite small. So, word of warning, if you're going to play a drum, listen carefully to it and see how it actually responds to the action that you make. You'll find that smaller movements make bigger noises sometimes. Now, percussion instruments come in a huge array of shapes and sizes. I've got a few to show you, as ever, and I'm going to start with something that you might recognise. This is a kind of a drum called a djembe. It's not a bongo, even though you might have heard it called one. The djembe is an African instrument, from West Africa originally, and it's made from wood and skin. A lot of drums have what's referred to as a skin on them, and in this case it's literally a piece of goat skin. Don't be scared of that, just think it's no worse than a piece of leather. I've actually got a piece somewhere. There we are. This is a piece of goat skin that I bought in Morocco, because every now and then these break and you need a replacement, so that's a spare. So, djembe literally means goat wood, because that is what it's made from. And the piece of wood involved is actually a solid piece, so this was made out of one tree that was this big at least, carved on the outside, carved on the inside, and you should be able to see all the way through it there. Now, one of the things you have to be aware of when you play a drum like this is that the sound is going to come out of that hole at the bottom. So if you put it flat on the ground or on a table, you won't get much of a sound, whereas if you lift it up off the floor, you open that hole and the sound suddenly comes to life a bit. Other instruments I've got to show you, I've got a more traditional European drum here. This is like what you might see on a Christmas ornament, or the Duracell bunny plays one of these, doesn't he? This is also made of wood and skin. It's got skins on both ends, and the skins are tightened using these leather thongs here. So if I push these up, you see all the tension goes off, it all goes wobbly, and it doesn't sound very good. But if I tighten them, then it's got a bit more boom to it. This one is usually played with a stick. And maybe you can hear there's a bit of a rattling sound. That's because of this string here. This is called a snare. A snare drum, of course, is something that you also get on a modern drum kit. But the snare drum on the drum kit will have plastic skins on it and metal snares. This is obviously, it's me, it's an early version from hundreds of years ago. This is the kind of thing that would have been normal then. What else have I got? Oh yes! The tambourine, like a drum, skin and wood, but with metal jingles on it, so you can shake it, or you can hit it, or if you're very good you can do a combination of the two. I've got some cymbals. These are made of metal. That's a very gentle movement, isn't it, for a very long sound. How long can you hear this sound for? Beautiful. Also made of metal, I've got some bells. This is an African kind of bell called an Agogo bell with two different sizes. So we've got a bigger one for a low note, a little one for a higher note. And obviously you can have these kind of bells as well that you shake. These are actually designed to tie around your ankle so that you can wear them while you're dancing, and the movement of your feet will make the jingling noise. And of course there's this kind of bell. This one's got a clever button on it, but you can also play it by ringing. I've got a shaker. Again, this one's an African instrument. We'll talk about shakers a little more in a moment. And I've got these. These are called bones, or it's a bit like playing the spoons. So it's two pieces joined together. When I run them across my fingers, we get that clacking noises. So percussion instruments can be made out of a huge range of materials. We've looked so far at skin and wood and metal. You can also obviously find a lot of instruments that incorporate plastic. And you can easily make your own percussion instrument. So if you've got, for example, some kind of a container with something in it, you've very easily got a shaker. This one is a yogurt pot with some pasta in, or I've got a honey jar with some rice. This one's quite good because the lid makes a different noise to the glass bottom. So you can make rhythm out of just about anything. Obviously, if you've got a small wooden stick like this, you can use it to play things, including pots and pans on a Thursday night, or tables, chairs, even my music stand. It's quite a good instrument. Percussion instruments are categorised in two types. There are tuned instruments and untuned instruments, and what we mean by that is that some instruments give a specific note or a range of notes, while others make a noise that doesn't necessarily register as a note at all. So the only tuned percussion instrument that I've got here at the moment is the bells. I've got a whole range of these, and they've actually got the letters written on them very helpfully. So this is a C, this one is an E, and so on. So each one of these bells plays a different note. You could even play a tune on them if you wanted. Other tuned percussion instruments include things like the xylophone and the glockenspiel, where you've got a piece of wood or a piece of metal for each note to play. Untuned instruments include things like the drums and the shakers, where they make more of a white noise, a noise that you can't really quite work out what note it should be. A quick word on how you play your percussion instruments, because this is something that you quite often get asked to do when you're in school. You've got a whole classroom full of instruments, and those of you who've had class lessons with me will know I have a few tips and tricks that I like to make sure that people know about. So for a start, if you are playing a drum, in fact pretty much any instrument, you don't want to leave your hand or your stick on the instrument, because that's going to dampen the sound. So if I play my djembe here, and I put my hand on and it stays there, I get a completely different sound to if I bounce my hand off it. With the bounce, what happens is it allows everything to vibrate more freely. When I leave my hand on, I'm literally stopping the sound. I'm preventing, well, I'm working against myself, shall we say. The same is true with the stick. If you play with a stick and you put it on and leave it on, you're not going to get as good a sound as if the stick bounces off the instrument. So you'll see I held it two different ways there. A lot of people hold their sticks with their finger on top, and that's very tense. I nearly said sticky, but it doesn't have a lot of bounce to it. Whereas if you put your thumb on the top, then you can hold it nice and loosely, and you can almost drop it onto the instrument and it will bounce off again. Always sounds better. Right then, for today's joining in music, what we're going to do is a bit of a drum circle. So I'm going to play some rhythms on my various percussion instruments that I've got with me today. I'm going to add things in as I go along, and you can play anything you like. So if you've got an instrument at home, you can join in on that. If you've made yourself a shaker, you can join in on that. You can use body percussion, so you can tap your knees, clap your hands, maybe your chest makes a very nice low sound, stamp your feet, dance around, anything you like, as long as it's got rhythm and you're in time with the beat. Let's see how we go. I'm going to start with my djembe. quite close.